Brilliant. Good morning, everybody, and you're really welcome to the second session of today's virtual career series. And we are joined by a company who doesn't need any introduction either here at DQIT, nationally, internationally, or globally. And we're absolutely delighted to welcome Intel. And we're joined by Angela Burke, who's a recruitment, marketing, and employer branding lead at Intel. And Angela is going to bring us through a very interesting, interactive presentation on graduate level opportunities at Intel. We're absolutely delighted to welcome you here today, Angela, as I said, and you certainly don't need any introduction to DQIT students or indeed DQIT academic colleagues. I think the last count on LinkedIn. I know everybody hasn't got a LinkedIn page, but there was hundreds of DQIT graduates working in Intel. So we know you were a massive supporter of everything DQIT, and you're really welcome to this morning. We're delighted you could attend. So Angela, you can take the presentation away.
Oh, thank you. I hope my presentation follows that beautiful welcome. Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. I think it's a lovely day to do something like this, actually. So thank you so much for having me. I'm going to, I suppose, help you become a little bit more familiar with Intel over the next kind of 25 minutes. And then I'll, of course, leave some room for questions at the end as well. So as I go,
Perfect.
feel free to be popping in the questions. I know Anthony's going to help me out. Towards the end to get through them all. I do want to flag your attention to the chat box for a moment. You will see I have just put a link in there this morning, and I'm chatting all about the talent network. So just maybe to mention that first, in case we run out of time at the end. So the talent network at Intel, it's a great way for becoming familiar with Intel. I know something that's really important to us all, and me included, when it comes to finding a job and I suppose starting your career or restarting your career, um, is to find a company that you feel will really align with what you're looking for, with your values. Where you feel the culture is a culture that you would kind of enjoy. And of course, I think understanding, sometimes it's hard for us to understand a job from a job spec. I know I definitely find that as well. So I think the great thing about the talent network is we aim to share people's journey, people that are working at Intel, and also share what they do day to day, the impact in terms of the bigger picture of their work. So it's a great place, really, to, I suppose, become familiar with Intel, get a feel for what you might do there as a graduate. But then also the thing we're all, I suppose, really looking for is hearing about upcoming career opportunities. So it just takes 2 minutes. I would say maybe join us today while you're on this chat. I won't be offended. It will literally take 2 seconds. It's just a few fields to fill out. Um, and then you will start to get regular updates through email from Intel. So just wanted to mention that. And then up the top of the chat, you'll see two other links. One is our graduate career site that you can have a little look at and hear people's stories. And then the second one, where you'll see like jobs, explore job opportunities, that's a link directly to the massive hiring that we're doing at the moment. So we're hiring a lot of engineering and science graduates, so that are graduating in 2022. So feel free to apply. You're more than welcome. So with that said, I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully technology is on my side today, and I'm going to take you through a little presentation. We'll see if the videos work on my presentation, and if they don't worry. I have a little backup. Okay. So hopefully you can see. Anthony, you might give me the nod if
Yeah,
well.
perfect. That's absolutely brilliant. Perfect. Full
Brilliant.
screen. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So, look, I think everyone is familiar with Intel as a brand. I think we do something with regard to chips, but I know there might be some people who aren't exactly sure, what we do or where our products end up, that kind of thing. So, the first thing I want to show you is this is the fab, what we call the fab, and I think people are usually surprised when they see this. I think when people join, actually, on their first day, they feel like they're part of a Star Wars movie with all of the like moving robots on top and stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to start with this. I think it gives you a good idea of, I suppose, what the working environment looks like, what your colleagues would be wearing, etc. If you did come to Intel. Um, and then I want to swiftly move on to a really nice video. I joined Intel just over 2 years ago now, July 2019, and that year it was their 30th anniversary of being in Ireland, being in Leixlip, and they created this video, and I think it just gives you a great sense of, you get a little peek in the window again of what, Intel Leixlip looks like, but also you hear people talking about why they continue to choose Intel every day. And for me, if I'm interested in joining a company, I want to hear from the employees and why they choose to get up every morning, or if they're on night shift, get up every evening and come into Intel. So hopefully this will play. If it doesn't, Anthony, you might let me know within the next few seconds, and I'll pop into YouTube instead then.
No problem. Andrew, just maybe mute yourself before you play it.
Oh yeah,
just to stop that loop. Thanks. Yeah, Angela, maybe the YouTube link might be a bit better.
You're not hearing it, Anthony, are you?
No, it's fine. No, it was just a bit jumpy. That's okay. So
that's
everybody
okay.
stick with it. No, you're okay. You can just share the YouTube link. It'll be perfect.
Perfect. Okay. Are you guys hearing that now?
Absolutely perfect.
Oh,
the Vikings came around 800 or 900 up the river here behind me, and they harvested salmon. There was lots of industry in Leixlip. It was always an industrial town because the power was the water. When Intel came here, they were able to construct a new factory up there in 18 months with an Irish guy in charge of the whole operation. The site is 1 kilometre long and down about 3 stories into the ground in order to secure a stable footing for the delicate operations that go on, a fraction of a gnat's whisker on the chips. I don't think people are aware of what happens behind the laurel up there.
The day I came in, at least for 2 months, I was in awe. My manager, he took me to the fab. I just looked up and I saw these overhead vehicles carrying the wafers, and I was like, where am I? Is this like Star Trek or something like that? I knew that, I'm standing on the edge of technology. It still amazes me.
The raw ingredient that we start with is sand, one of the most abundant elements on the planet. And we end up with the most complicated devices made by humans. Everything in between is creativity, capability, endeavor, hard work, blood, sweat and tears of the people that we have.
My passion is my job, basically, because I have the most interesting job in this world. I'm responsible to build and maintain the best-in-class clean room environment for Intel production.
My name is Rory McGrath. I'm an engineer and tech in Intel in the dielectrics department. I would assist the manufacturing technicians on the floor with their repair stuff, their preventative maintenance stuff, anything that's revolving around continuous improvement.
Don't accept what you're doing now is the best way of doing things, because it's not. Somebody will always have a better way of doing what you're doing now. If it's a small little 3D print that's going to stop this little glitch, that's really what it boils down to.
Here in Fab 24, we make pretty much every one of the products that Intel makes here on site, and that requires just huge innovation. I sit every day at my TAC ops, and I see engineers, technicians making the impossible possible, and to deliver the results that they have helped deliver is a real testament to the country as well.
And the technology that's being developed here is the cutting edge of it. But it's also the stuff that's going to drive the next phase. Changing environments kind of drive me. One day you could think your day is going to be really quiet, and then it can go any direction, which I do like. It's a buzz.
Dan's a dedicated ERT member. He just organise drills on a weekly basis, and he just throw in strange scenarios that may or may never happen, and hopefully they don't.
One of the things about Intel that I love is that I expect to come to work and not be hurt. Our results would say that we are among the safest factories in the world. On this site alone, there's probably almost 5,000 people on it. It's a town.
The combined effort of those people all over the world, it's quite remarkable to see what they're able to produce as a collective.
My name is Estelle Brochet. I'm a hardware verification engineer for Intel Movidius. Artificial intelligence is growing. It's coming to our house, making our houses smart. In the near future, the smart cities.
My day job is the director of the Network Platforms and Systems Group, which is a small division within the broader data-centric organization within Intel. Our ability to use, tools and infrastructure to better ourselves, to better that planet, better that community, I believe that's legacy that we should aspire to.
Intel is right now going from a PC-centric company to a data-centric company. We used to have just data in text form. Now it's all video, it's image, it's speech. It's what we're all working with every day on our mobile phones.
Intel will support you and provide you with opportunities. So if you really want it inside, you can climb the ladder. You can do the training, do your education if you don't have it, grow over time, network, and apply for the jobs, get experience. Eventually you get what you want if you really, really want it.
It's hugely important that we keep our employees happy with their careers, developing in their careers, so that they will give back and contribute to Intel's success and keep it all going. That's our crown jewels, if you like.
Intel would take great protection of its surrounding environment. The people that are here are sharing their knowledge, their experiences, their roles, passing it on to the new generation.
In any given day, I could be in a level 1 task force looking at why we have a gas purity that's moved from 1 part per billion to 2 parts per billion. I've also had days here where I've been called to the back of the site because nobody is brave enough to round up a stray goat. On the Ireland site and in Leixlip here, we take great pride in actually taking our environmental footprint to the next level. We planted an entire biodiversity meadow at the back of the site, across a special area of conservation, across a beautifully clean and fishable river, and within 50 yards of that having the most advanced technological semiconductor factory in Europe.
Intel as a whole fosters community, and that's because of the multiple events we have. One of the big things that I always participate in is the charity events. Across the board, there's always great, significant support, and this is from Eamon, send it down. And that's something that was unexpected for me. It builds that level of community where everyone tries to help each other as much as they can. We're all one Intel, and that's constantly being communicated. We're one Intel, trying to help out each other.
What I've done in the past few years is brought in kids' school camps, where we brought the GA in, we did kids' school camps for Intel employees' children. Just something different to make people feel a bit more positive about the site, especially when we're so busy.
One of the things that struck me about Intel is the fiercely egalitarian nature of the place. There's no privilege that comes with seniority or rank.
If you show that you're available and you spark an interest, I think Intel goes above and beyond. We just take you under your wings like these eagles.
Very, very proud of the skills and capabilities of the people here that have made that success.
I've had a great life with Intel, great career, very varied career.
I have so many extraordinarily good experiences.
It's been a brilliant and great 30 years. What happens and takes place in here is magic.
Okay. So hopefully that gave you a good insight, I suppose, into what Intel and Leixlip is about. I think for me, I really like that video because it really gives you an insight into the culture, I find. There's nothing like listening to people's stories about why they choose to work, why they choose to continue to, come to work every day, to get a real feel for, I suppose, what it is they're coming into, what they enjoy about the culture and the opportunities they get. So I could bore you with loads and loads of slides about Intel, but I feel like that video really gives the gist of what we do and what we're about. I'd like to give you a little glimpse, if you will, into what the site looks like. We have probably, these are two of my favorite pieces. We have a salon, which I've never worked in a place before that has a salon. Now, obviously, at the moment, there's different services open and different services closed because of the pandemic. But in normal times, we have a salon, and it's pretty cool. There's a barber's here. You can pop down and get your hair cut. You can go in and get a massage, get your nails done, whatever it is. We have these sleep pods, which are pretty cool. So you can just pop in during your lunch break, or whenever whenever you need, just to like have a little bit of snooze. Or some people like to use them for mindfulness and meditation as well. Excuse me, just to pop in for 5 minutes and just kind of have a breather and pop their earphones in and listen to music. And it's a nice dark room, even though I know it's bright there just for the photo. We also have a gym. This is kind of one area of our canteen. I know through the video you saw our canteen. The canteen is great. It's one thing I definitely miss as I've been working from home over the last 18 months. And then we kind of have a games room beside the canteen. And then lastly, there's fitness classes as well, which is nice because I don't know, if you're like me, I find it hard to get motivated in the gym, but if I go to a fitness class, I find it that little bit easier. In terms of the benefits then, so I won't go through all of these, but you can just see a little glimpse. There's kind of, I suppose, regardless of where you are in your life, there's definitely something that everyone benefits from and that everyone values. So I think, that's another great thing about Intel is, I suppose, you're rewarded for the hard work that you do. And that's important because, that's why we all work at the end of the day, to be rewarded so that we can live the life we want to live. Lastly, I really want to talk about interviewing with Intel. Should any of you decide to do so, I thought I'd give you a little bit of an insight into the recruitment process and what to expect because, as someone, applying to different graduate jobs, I know how time consuming that can be. I know all the hours add up as you update your CV and work through the different processes that different companies have. So I thought I'd give you a sneak peek into our process and some tips that might help you as well. So the first thing I would say is I actually included the link to apply. It's the Explore Our Jobs link in the chat. So that's the link you can go on to have a little look at the different jobs for engineering and science graduates. You apply. The one thing I really want to call out as part of the application is on this slide. There's actually 2 steps to our process. So don't, I suppose sometimes people do step 1 and then they forget to do step 2, and I can understand why they think their application has gone through, but it hasn't. So there's 2 steps. So one is like a talent form essentially, and you just fill out kind of your details, very basic details. And then step 2, you'll be redirected to Workday where you'll actually fill out the job application then. So just to keep that in mind. And these 2 steps are different to the talent network link that I was just talking about there as well. So what I will do when I go back into the chat is I'll just send again a link to the job application so that it's all there easy for you. In terms of your CV, what I would say is, make it really clear what you're studying, break out the different disciplines within your course, and, confirm the level. So whether it's, levels, NFQ level 6, level 7, level 8, etc. Make sure you just confirm that so that the recruiter can easily kind of see your education. If you have relevant experience, great. If not, please don't worry because there's a lot of, skills that you develop from your part-time jobs, etc., that's worth putting down as well. Then you will get called or emailed to get excuse me, invited to interview. And then you'll meet one of our hiring managers, which is great because I think it's important that it's a two-way conversation, and you also get familiar with Intel and with what the job is all about. And then fingers crossed you're successful. You know, you accept your job offer, and you join, and you join probably next year when you graduate. So just to give you a little look through the different steps that are involved. And then this screen I shared with you already in terms of the two-step process. So that is it. I promised I wouldn't bore you with lots of slides. So what I might do now is I will go back into I'll go back into the chat, and I'm going to just copy the link again for looking at the different jobs we have available. There we go.
Perfect.
Okay.
Angela, thank you so much. I know you get a drink of water there. You're fine. We still have 8 minutes. Yeah, that video I just popped up in the chat myself. I should have studied engineering, because I think that if that doesn't motivate people to apply, nothing will.
Great video, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic, fantastic. I've questions coming in here. I'm just going to address one potentially here in the question by Bobby. I think says you can only see 5 roles on offer at the minute. I'm assuming there's multiple hires within each of those roles.
There's significant hires within each of those roles. Now I was explaining to Anthony actually when we spoke yesterday that I'm sure all of you heard the amazing news about our expansion. It was all over RT News. So those jobs are related to the expansion, and we're hiring those in significant volumes. If you don't find a job there that's of interest to you, I'm going to just pop another link. It's up the top, but just this link to the graduates page, because there's lots of you'll find other jobs here. But I think for engineering and science graduates, the link I sent there with the jobs would be most relevant.
Perfect. A couple of questions here, Angela, to get through. So there are some students not from an engineering STEM background, so finance, potentially business. Are there opportunities within Intel for that graduate type or that cohort?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, we hire across all different disciplines. I mean, I would be considered a support area in HR. You'll probably see less numbers, absolutely, because the bread and butter and the core, I suppose, of our business is engineering and science. But absolutely have a little look through the second link, the graduate link, and you might find something.
Brilliant. A question here. There's one academic question, so I'll come back to that later on. You might not be able to help us. I know I said I wouldn't ask you any difficult questions, but I think it's probably pertinent. So in your opinion, Angela, somebody who's working within that HR role and talent acquisition, in your opinion, what makes a good application? So
Yeah, good question. I think I alluded to some of it earlier, but I think definitely calling out your education, the level, the NFQ level of your education. I think breaking out the different subjects is always good, because I think sometimes courses can be where, the title of the course may not actually show someone, like me, who's not familiar with your course, the ins and outs of the different skills that you're developing and the different knowledge you're developing. So definitely to break out the different subjects. And then, like I always say this, but if you have a part-time job, I think it's good to put that down as well, because one, it shows work ethic. It might be absolutely nothing to do with your work at Intel, and that wouldn't be a surprise at all, right? But I just think it shows, you're developing communication skills. Call out is attention to detail. I think sometimes we don't enjoy updating our CV. It's definitely common across everyone. But I would say really, take that extra time to make sure your grammar, your punctuation, your spelling and everything makes sense and it's all right. Get someone, you've been looking at this for months, probably get someone else to read over it that you trust, maybe your careers advisor, for example. Actually, hope that's okay to say, because it really is first impressions. And, if a hiring manager picks up your CV or a recruiter and they see a lot of, I suppose, areas where attention to detail hasn't been applied, unfortunately that is the first impression. So that's something I would definitely say. And then lastly, I would just say, at interview, I know you asked about application, but at interview, it's worth calling out. I think sometimes if we don't understand an interview question, we can quickly just try and answer it because we're nervous. But I would definitely say refrain from doing so, and just don't be afraid to say, I'm sorry, would you mind clarifying exactly what you're looking for there? I didn't quite understand the question, or sorry, I'm a little bit nervous, I didn't pick up the question there. Would you mind repeating? The interviewers won't mind at all, and they would much prefer you do that, because otherwise, if you start rambling and answering a different question, they have to score you against that, and no one wants that. So don't be afraid of taking up time and asking them to repeat. It's no problem at all.
Yeah, and I know the difference. We've had obviously Intel representatives down when we could have them in the college. I'm sure we'll welcome them back as well. But I was at a presentation where the guys from Intel were saying that they've been trained in interviewing, so every line manager is experienced and they've gone through the process themselves. So they're there to get you through. It's within their interest. If you've been shortlisted, well then you have what they need. How long does the process take, the application process, and do you have assessments?
Assessments, yeah. So in terms of length, it's hard to say how long it takes because it kind of depends when you apply and it depends on volume. But I will say something, as a recruitment team, we understand the amount of time and effort that goes into applications, and we also understand that you want to get on with your studies. You don't want to be worrying about this, so we really do aim to like get through them as soon as possible. It's probably the best bit of feedback we get, that people hear back quickly, and that we bring them through the process very quickly. And then for our manufacturing technician role, yes, there is a technical assessment, and I'm probably not the best to talk through the technicalities of that. But when you get called for interview, your recruiter will explain everything to do with the interview. We also do interview preparation actually as well. So you're very much looked after, which I think is great. Yeah.
No, it's really good. Just to be conscious, we have obviously level 6, level 7, level 8, level 9, and probably PhD candidates maybe on the call as well. So you're recruiting across all levels, as you said.
That's all right from 6 up to 10. Yeah.
Perfect. Now, what advice would you have for some? Okay, so I'll ask this one first. So what advice would you have for somebody who day one really wants to make an impact at Intel, and they're coming in from a level 8 program? What would be the one piece of advice you would have for them to really sort of shoot for the stars in relation to their career?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would honestly say ask questions. So I would say come in, and I think sometimes, and I'm guilty of this as well, I think sometimes when we start a new job, we want to try and kind of make an impact very quickly, and we try to kind of act too quickly. Whereas what I would say, and I have definitely learned this throughout my career, is to kind of sit back and listen, be a sponge, absorb as much as you can. And then once you've absorbed everything, don't be afraid along the way to also ask as many questions. You saw Abel, one of our engineers, on the video, and if you look at the graduate career site, he's a lovely video there, and he talks about the 5 whys. So Intel are very encouraging of questions. Always ask questions, because we don't want to keep doing things the same way. So it's from fresh mind coming in and asking questions that will actually lead to improvement. So to summarize it, listen, be a sponge, take everything in, but then also don't be afraid to ask questions along the way, no matter how late it is, to your starting point. And there's one other thing I want to mention there, Anthony, that I think would be really helpful for people. When you click on the jobs link there, explore job opportunities, with regard to the level, we hire across NFQ level 6 right to 10. But if you have a little look in each job, it will tell you what grade we're looking for in terms of NFQ level. So you'll know kind of which one. So just as a summary, for example, the technician positions are level 6 and level 7 NFQ, and then the process engineer are level 8, 9, 10. So just to give you a little bit of a guide as to kind of what you're looking for and where your studies fit in.
Perfect. No, that makes perfect sense. And if students do look at those job descriptions, the Intel ones in particular are very, very clear, and you'll be supported all the way through the application process. And I know as well that if you do apply and you're unsuccessful, and it happens as all, of course, that doesn't preclude you from applying again.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
Well, one final question is academic, and you don't have to answer it if you want, but I said I'll leave you one difficult one. The impact of the semiconductor shortage at the minute, how is that impacting it? Intel, is it impacting it? Intel, and what are the company doing about that sort of?
Yeah, of course. I think everyone is involved in that. I'm probably not the most technical person to answer it, but I will say our new CEO, Pat, has come in, and he is definitely looking at everything. And I suppose his mission is, to definitely innovate and to, move at an incredible pace to work against that challenge. So yeah, I think it's something that's very much on every semiconductor's mind at the moment, and everyone kind of trying to do their best to overcome it.
Brilliant. Everybody stayed. We're slightly past 10, but our 10:30. It's been a brilliant presentation. Thank you, everybody, for listening in wherever you are. And And Angela, a massive thank you to you. And hopefully the next time we do this, it will be on campus and you can meet our students face to face, because I think maybe we're all a bit burnt out with the virtual stuff at this stage. But
For
it was
sure.
fantastic to have Intel virtually with us here this morning, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon. And we'll put all those opportunities up on Careers Connect so the students can access them that way as well.
Yeah, perfect. That would be super. So thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate your time.
Great, Angela. Thanks a lot.
Bye, folks.
Take care. Bye-bye.